Estle has received his sentence for the murder of his one-time friend Justin Hasty. Family members from both sides packed a Mobile courtroom today to hear Hasty's relatives ask for life in prison and Estle himself ask for mercy. Fox 10 News reporter Steve Alexander standing by live at our newsroom with details on a very emotional day in court. Steve?
And Estle was sentenced to life in prison for the beating death of Justin Hasty, beating death with a baseball bat back in October of 2012. But before that sentence was handed down, Hasty's family and Estle himself both addressed the judge.
Justin Hasty's mother called Brandon Estle a sorry excuse for a human being. Both she and Hasty's sister said they could never forgive him for the crime. Later, Estle himself spoke. He said he knows members of the Hasty family can't bear to look at him, but that he prays for the family every day and said, quote, "I am very ashamed and very sorry." Before handing down his sentence, Judge Charles Graddick called the murder brutal, vicious, and heinous and said, quote, "The brutality of your act is unbelievable." Graddick says Estle was playing with Satan's poison and the debt must be paid. He sentenced Estle to life in prison and ended by telling him, "God bless you." After the sentencing, Justin Hasty's mother read a brief statement.
We are very pleased that Brandon Estle was given the sentence of life in prison. Unfortunately, in Alabama, that is a maximum of 30 years. My son's life is worth a lot more than that. But our goal from the beginning was that there would be justice for Justin, and I feel that we have succeeded in that goal as much as the Alabama law allows.
District Attorney Ashley Rich says the grief is not over for Hasty's family because of what may be ahead.
A parole, perhaps, after 15 years, the possibility of a parole. And then every 2 or 3 years, another possibility of a parole. So it's really a never-ending process for victims' families.
Defense attorney Jeff Dean talked about his impression of Estle's address to the court.
Well, he did a good job expressing how he was feeling. And he asked to be held responsible for his actions, and Judge Graddick said, "I will," and sentenced him accordingly.
While addressing the court, Estle also talked about his drug use, saying there is no payoff in using drugs. Look at me. Judge Graddick said he felt sure the crime would never have happened if it wasn't for drugs. And Rich says she will use this case as a teaching lesson for students she talks to in schools.
One thing positive that can come out of this trial is that we will use this story to help stop kids from doing drugs in the first place.
Our son was an amazing young man, and anyone who knew him knew this to be true. He will continue to live on in our lives, in our hearts, and in our memories. Thank you.
Now, Estle also must pay members of the Hasty family $22,000 to compensate them for funeral costs and other expenses. Defense attorney Jeff Dean says he'll appeal. Reporting live from the newsroom, Steve Alexander, Fox 10 News.